Everyone, please rise. We'll be led in prayer by Pro Tem Bill Nash.
Almighty God, we ask for your blessing upon the members of this council as we assemble here in this chamber to conduct the ongoing business of our city. With your guidance, we will strive to ensure that all our decisions are for the common good, and your inspiration will instill respect, compassion, and thoughtfulness in all of our deliberations. Give us the strength and wisdom to lead by example as the people's representatives, and that peace and harmony will mark all our proceedings and keep us faithful to the trust placed in us by the citizens of our community. Amen.
Alderwoman Stephanie Burnham, please.
Pledge allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. First on our agenda is citizen comment general. I declare that open. And the first person signed up is Mr. Marvin Cerruto.
Marvin Cerruto, 100 Star Street, Norwich, Connecticut, United States of America. First and foremost, would like to thank all of you for the fireworks celebration. I have always come up here and thought it's always important that we have that, especially here in Norwich. And I remember a day when we didn't have a fireworks demonstration, and it was very pleasant to see it come back and be so successful. I hope that is contagious with the rest of our festivals. Also a reminder, tomorrow is the birthday of Sam Huntington, who is considered to be the first president of the United States, also a resident of Norwich. And now, I'd like to practice what they set forward. Every third Monday, I'm going to come in and I'm going to remind not just the council, but all of my fellow citizens and taxpayers that our goal should be to keep our taxes as low as possible, to try to lower the mill rate, to try to be as efficient as we can. A majority of our budget is the education budget. I would like to remind people once again, just because we want to maintain that budget as efficient and as low as possible does not mean you don't like children. I thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Rachel Franco.
Hi, Rachel Franco. I'm here representing 25 Lafayette Street, which is located at 17 through 25 Lafayette Street in Norwich, Connecticut. I am their business manager, and the business comprises of 3 partners who own 2 properties and 1 business in Norwich, Connecticut. The first is a newly acquired office building located at 18 Onico Street, for which the cost of doing business in Norwich increased by 28.78% due to the new assessment and a rather small decrease in the mill rate. The second property, which has been owned by the same group for over 40 years, is located at 17 through 25 Lafayette Street, home of Norwich Family Dental Associates, an owner-occupied business for which the cost to do business in Norwich has increased by 57.64%. Let me give you a brief history of how I came to stand before you today. In the spring, I received a document stating the new assessment on the building was going up dramatically. I completed and returned the paperwork to have a hearing regarding the evaluation of the property located at 17 through 25 Lafayette Street. No, I did not contest the 18 Onico Street, as we were potentially acquiring that building at the time. At the hearing on January 16th, I was told that our area was going to be hard to evaluate due to it not being in a fully commercial zone, but rather many doctor offices and residential. The gentleman I met with stated he was going to try and lower the assessment. It was also explained to me that likely the mill rate would also change, and I was to keep that in mind. Actually, I had heard that from numerous people. The letter arrived in February, which showed a decrease of $44,500 in our assessed value. Believing the mill rate would most likely go down if the city had also increased all business assessments as high as ours, we thought we would wait and see what the mill rate ended up, rather than go through the second step of paying money out of pocket to get an appraisal done. To our surprise, the mill rate dropped a shocking 0.40. and our taxes then went up by 57.64%, which is $7,475 a year. Now, we sit here without recourse until next year because of the process. In all 40 years Norwich Family Dental has been doing business in Norwich, not once has our company come to the council to complain about taxes. Though today we are here to make you all aware what is really happening to the businesses in your city. I ask for you to review the attached papers I have given you, along with a spreadsheet compiled by another Norwich business owner. The increase in taxes are radically widespread with businesses in all of the same area. As I said before, we own 2 properties. They abut each other. One had an increase of 57.64%, while the other had an increase of 28.78%. I have a hard time reconciling this, as well as all the blue highlighted locations all on Lafayette Street are abutting, which is on the last page.
Please summarize.
Which range from an increase of 3.2% up to 57.64%. I must say that I do not believe the commercial property in Norwich has increased 57.64% since the last evaluation, and if so, I'd like the evidence to justify. Thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, please reach out to me at the numbers below. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Those are the 2 people that signed the agenda. Is anyone else like to address the council on an issue during open general comment? Anyone else like to speak to the council on an item not on our agenda? Okay, third time, anyone like to speak to the council on an item not on our agenda? Seeing no one else, I'd like to declare that closed, and thank you both for speaking to us.
City Manager's report.
Thank you. This is the City Manager's report for July 15th, 2019. The Mayor and I met with the new Superintendent of Schools, Kristen Stringfellow. Controller Josh Parthier and I will be meeting with her next week to discuss the city's budgeting process. We welcome her and wish her the best in her new position. Human Resources Director Bridget Marks, Assistant Human Resource Director Pat Austin and I met with the representatives from the Fire Department Negotiation Committee. My office has been notified by the Connecticut State Library Office that the City Clerk's Office has received a $7,500 Historic Documents Preservation Grant. This will allow the continued preservation of land records from 1954 and earlier. The city's new Deputy Chief, Corey Poore, was sworn in at a ceremony held on July 10th. Corey has been with the city's police department since 1993. He has received numerous commendations, including the department's highest award, the Medal of Valor. Congratulations, and we wish him continued success in his new role as Deputy Chief. Leanne Gomes, Director of Human Services, is the co-chair for this year's United Way campaign. She and my assistant, Jackie Barbarossa, will be meeting to increase the city's participation in the organization. Mohegan Park beach attendance has been strong. The highest attendance rate so far has been over the 4th of July holiday, with over 400 patrons. Swim lessons have also begun at Spalding Pond, with approximately 50 children from ages 3 to 12 years old enrolled. The Norwich Recreation Day Camp also buses children to the park on Friday afternoons as part of the summer program. The Norwich Events Organization fireworks display held on July 3rd was a huge success and was viewed by thousands of people downtown. Thank you to the Norwich Events Organization, sponsors and volunteers for their efforts. Global City's second annual Peruvian Festival will be held on Sunday, July 28th from 3 to 6 p.m. downtown on Franklin Street. Rock the Docks and Rockin' the Greens summer concerts have begun. I invite you to attend one of the many free concerts on the Norwich Harbor or Norwich Town Green. Again, thank you to the Greater Norwich Area Chamber of Commerce, City Department, sponsors, and volunteers that make the concerts possible. Attached are the City Department's report for the quarter ending June 30th, 2019. That completes my report.
Thank you. Just one a difference. The Peruvian Festival will run 2 to 6.
2 to 6.
2 to 6, not 3 to
Okay.
6.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions of the city manager? Yes, Alderman Burnham?
Yeah, thank you for submitting the quarterly report. We're missing NCDC in the library, as we had requested. Can you solicit those and supplement at the next meeting?
Yeah, they weren't available when I printed these, but we will follow up on those.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions of the city manager? Seeing none, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Citizen comment on resolutions.
I declare that open, and the first person who signed up to speak is Mrs. Heather Romansky.
The dreaded reading glasses. Heather Romansky, 297 Scotland Road. I'm here tonight to ask the City Council to appoint Kevin Saitani to the vacant seat on the Board of Education. As a parent who attended several meetings and saw the effect before I was on the board, attended several meetings before I was on the board, I saw the effect of an empty chair before Ms. Thomas resigned. It's critical that this person be in place as soon as possible. Kevin has served on the Board of Education previously, and I'm confident will work diligently to be prepared for the opening of the school year. I'm asking you to fill this vacancy as expeditiously and thoughtfully as the council did when they appointed Rashid Haynes in February 27, and he was an excellent appointment to the board at that time. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Mr. Shane Roberts.
Shane Roberts, 16 Church Street. I'm also here to support Kevin Saitani for appointment to the Board of Ed, hoping that his experience as a former member will create a seamless transition that will allow them to continue momentum to roll into the coming school year. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next person, I hope I'm reading this properly, Linda Jouchet. Yes, please.
Good evening. My name is Linda Fouché. I live at 65 Williams Street. I'm here in full support of Mr. Saitani. And the reason being, the last time I heard him speak, it was one word, the enthusiasm he has for doing this job and his commitment. And enthusiasm is a really important thing nowadays. So again, I completely support his running for this. Thank you.
Thank you. Swaranjit Singh.
Good evening, everyone. Swaranjit Singh, a resident of 56 Briar Hill Road. I'm also here to speak in favor of Kevin Saitani appointment to fill vacancy on Board of Education. I would like to say that between election and now, there are 3 to 4 meetings, and being a concerned citizen of Norwich, I think we should appoint somebody who has experience, and Kevin meet the criteria. He has already been a board member in previous term, and I think it's a crucial time while we have our new superintendent. It will be important that we have people who are experienced in their job and make the right decision. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you, sir. Darrell Wilson.
Good evening, Darrell Wilson, 32nd Street. I rise also to support Kevin Saitani's appointment to the Board of Education. Speaking as the town chair for our Democratic Town Committee, Kevin was nominated, endorsed, and recommended as the person to hold this vacancy. Kevin brings a lot to the table, not only having served our Board of Education in a term, but also after his term was up, he has not stopped working with kids and helping the educational system. And I think that's the important piece, is we're coming in at a crucial time where we have a new superintendent, we have several new principals that will be starting in the district, someone who has worked with individuals who have been new to the district. Committee assignments that need to be understood are important, especially starting the school year. And even though this appointment is happening now, it's crucial that there's very little time for catch-up and learning, because the school year is right around the corner. There's a lot of work that still needs to be done. He brings that to the table. He understands the process. He's been through the process. He's been on the board when we've had difficult years, and that's the most important piece here. We've went about it the right way. He's applied. He came through the town committee. I don't see anything different from this appointment from the last. He's asking to best serve our residents and our students, our staff on the Board of Education, and I fully recommend him for that vacancy. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Janet Koch.
My name is Janet Koch. I live at 35.5 South B Street, Taftville. I have lived in Norwich since 2012. I have known Kevin, there he is. I've known Kevin since 2014. He's a mensch who cares about kids and is perfect for the school board. I can't imagine why this appointment might run into any kind of interference, certainly not because Kevin's family is from Laos or because he's young and enthusiastic, certainly not because he's a Democrat. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin Sethani, please.
Good evening, City Mayor, City Council. My name is Kevin Sethani, and I reside at 16 Surrey Lane. One of the many subject matters for tonight's agenda is Resolution Number 1, concerning my appointment to the Board of Education. I stand before the Council to say that I am committed and ready to serve on the board again. Back in 2015, after graduating from the University of Connecticut, I knew exactly that I wanted to serve my community through public service, and education was at the forefront of my mind. I enjoyed and benefited from attending Norwich Public Schools when I first came here in 2004. And that's why today I still choose to give back to my community and to ensure that receiving a high-quality education will continue to be there for the students in our school district now and in the future. After my first term, I wanted to continue my commitment to the education by serving on the Norwich Public School Education Foundation as a board member for a couple of years before I've been elected, newly elected as president of the foundation this past May. In recent events, when I heard of the unfortunate news of a former board member that had to resign, it was a personal calling for me to step up to the occasion and hope to join with the current board members to focus on the students and their education. I filed and submitted the board application online and received my party's nomination and endorsement. But there's a roadblock in the way where I must go through a process of being interviewed by the members of the Appointment and Reappointment Committee. Now, I have been through the interview process before for different boards and commissions that I currently serve on today. But concerning education, I had to take a step back and think, why now? Back in 2017, Susan Thomas, a former board member, had to resign, and to succeed her was Rashid Haynes. It is my understanding that Mr. Haynes did not go through the interview process. Instead, he was voted in by the council, which was effective immediately. I don't know what will happen to my appointment tonight, but I assure you that I am always ready and committed to serve the greater good of our students, their education, and our community. I seek that this political capital that is being made for my appointment is to be corrected so that fairness and continuity will transpire, not just for my case, but for the many cases ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sherry Oster.
Good evening, everyone. Sherry Ostrout, 251 Harland Road. It's pretty hard to follow that. I just want to lend my support, express my support for this eager young man to serve our city on the Board of Education. He has the experience, he has the track record, he can step in, slip in, and finish out a term. We're talking 3 months. Thank you for the expeditious appointment.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the... Yes, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Janice Sawicki, 39 Andrea Lane, Norwich, Connecticut, and I feel like I might as well join the group. Number 9, ditto, 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 ditto. 41 years in Norwich Public School Systems. Believe me, I've seen it all come and go, and Kevin is a great guy. He knows his stuff, he's kind, he's humble, and he's ready and willing to fill that appointment of the Board of Ed. So please think carefully and vote judiciously. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak to the council on any of the resolutions? Anyone else like to speak to the council on the resolutions? Third time. Anyone else like to speak to the council? Seeing no one else, I would declare that closed, and thank you all for sharing.
Resolution number 1, relative to an appointment to fill the vacancy on the Board of Education.
Motion, please, to bring this forward.
So moved.
Alderman DeLucia, is there a second? Alderman Burnham, is there discussion? Yes?
Mr. Mayor, is
Pro
there
Tem
an
Nash?
opportunity for me to call a caucus?
Pardon?
A caucus?
You mean you're asking for a recess?
Yes.
Oh. Is there a second? Okay. All those in favor of 5-minute recess? Is that enough?
That's more than enough time, yes, sir.
5-minute recess? Okay. Recess 5 minutes.
We're on recess, 5 minutes. We'll be right back in 2 more minutes.
For board discussion. Anyone else have any thoughts with respect to the city?
Okay, motion please for the council to come back to order. Gould and seconded by Nash. All those in favor? Unanimous. Currently, the motion before us is Resolution 1. Again, is there discussion? Alderwoman Gould.
Only thing that I'm going to say tonight is that I am disappointed that the town committee refused to consider the other applicant for this vacancy.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Alderman DeLucia.
I'd just like to say that that statement is inaccurate at best. The fact of the matter is that there was another candidate, and as the only member of the Appoint-Reappoint Committee, as a member of the Democratic Caucus, and I know that I can speak for my two colleagues sitting to my left, none of us were made aware that a person had expressed interest through the council secretary or through the city's website, not to put it on the secretary, through the city's website. That's a failure of communication. That is not a failure of the DTC. In fact, I have said out loud when questioned by the mayor whether or not a member, this particular applicant or any other Democrat in the city of Norwich, regardless of whether they were a member of the DTC, would have been given consideration. And I said emphatically yes. I said that I would have implored my fellow DTC members at our last meeting to consider anybody who had come forward. So if we're not given the information, we can't be chastised for not using it. Thank you.
Is there further discussion? Alderwoman Gould.
If the Democratic Town Committee had asked, I certainly would have provided them with all of the names of anyone who had applied for the position, the same way Kevin applied for the position.
Is there further discussion? Yes, Alderwoman Filbert.
Once again, I find myself in a situation where I probably should bite my tongue, but instead I'll just say what's on my mind. I don't understand why we waste our time and our energy and our resources developing policies and procedures when we don't follow them. There's a policy and procedure in place. There has been numerous discussions about it. Alderwoman Burnham has questioned the policy on numerous occasions. Again, as I said, if you're not going to follow the rules, get rid of the rules. But if you're going to have rules, follow them. I like you, I don't like you, I'm going to give you an interview, I'm not going to give you an interview. Somebody from the RTC, DTC, whatever, called and said, you know, I think you'd be a good candidate for this, why don't you try it? I don't think you'd be a good candidate for that, so don't even bother applying. No wonder people don't want to serve on boards and committees in the city of Norwich. It's a bunch of BS. These policies and procedures that we have in place, in my opinion, in absolutely no way, shape, or form, encourage community involvement. So my hope is that we will do what we need to do tonight And going forward, although I've heard this song and dance for the last 14 years too, is we'll fix it next time. Well, once you've done something, you already set the precedent. So if somebody wanted to be a real, you know what, they could say, well, 6 years ago you did X, Y, and Z, so if it was okay for them, why isn't it okay for me? All I'm asking that going forward, regardless if it's boards and commissions, permits, tax abatements, special privileges, that we follow the rules that we have in place. And if they don't work, then somebody needs to bring them to the council and say, this doesn't work. But this constant bickering between us and them and me and you, and I hate kids because I didn't vote for the school budget, and I love dogs, so I'd like to see them in Mohegan Park. But so can we all just get on the same page, and if we have rules, follow rules, and pick the candidates that are the most appropriate candidate for the vacancy. It's not a popularity contest. So I think there's a lot of speculation going on here, a lot of presumption, and I think a lot of it is just somebody trying to add fuel to the fire.
Thank you. Alderman Burnham?
Thank you, Alderman Philbrick, for acknowledging my urging for improving processes. And I think you're right. We need to follow the processes that are in place. As tenuous as they are, this recommendation followed the same template that was done in 2017. And I agree that if there's going to be a standard, there has to be a standard, and it has to be applied unilaterally to everybody. And there needs to be standards, guidelines, processes, and procedures that everybody can read, can be aware of, and adhere to for the appoint, reappoint, and any other process that we have. I am in whole agreement with you. And in light of that, we mentioned applications. So the volunteer opportunity for this to be interviewed, say we even broke with precedent, it's still not even posted on the website. So you have to either read the paper or maybe be a mind reader to be like, maybe I should apply. Or so it's not posted on the website. Kevin applied at our urging just in case, so that's good. There is a vacancy posted that the Board of Ed position is vacant, but under volunteer opportunities, it's not listed as a place to apply. So I think just tightening up this process, I would implore the appoint reappoint committee to set these standards, and they can be simple. I have asked for this numerous times, and I was told that it's fine the way it is, and obviously it's not. So I think it would only benefit everybody if we just set some standards, deadlines, guidelines, and procedures.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Alderman DeLucia.
I would just like to say that for the benefit of people watching at home and the people in the gallery here and whoever might ever read or listen to or watch this online sometime in the future, the charter simply states that vacancies on the Board of Ed are filled by vote of the council so long as the departing member and the incoming member are from the same political party, period. So when it comes to the rules of the game, that's it. I sit on the appoint reappoint committee with Alderwoman Philbrick and Alderwoman Gould. And I have observed that it is carried out, that the process is somewhat, in my estimation, shoot from the hip method. And I have suggested to the chairperson many times that there should be stated deadlines for applications, regularly scheduled interviews, and standard questions asked of all applicants. Exactly what Alderwoman Philbrick is talking about. And all of those have been met with either resistance or outright dismissed. So I say that if this council or the next decides to take up a formal process for all appointed positions, I would be happy to work with the Republican caucus on what a professional selection process should look like for the city of Norwich. Until then, I agree with Alderwoman Philbrick. We should not be making up the rules of the game as it's being played. I yield the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Alderman Browning.
I would like to see Mr. Setani appointed. Had this discussion happened when we were elected almost 2 years ago, and we had a discussion about whether we would go with the old system, which is very vague, or we would adopt a new system involving the reappoint committee, I would have been amenable to this discussion. However, this situation where we're now using the reappoint committee to select the person, whereas previously the political parties who had initially nominated the person who's being replaced did so. And I mean, I thought Rashid was an excellent choice, to tell you the truth. But it's a matter of, that was how it was done. So when this was brought up and, we said, okay, wait a second, we're having a change in the way things are done. And we're like, okay, maybe it's good if we had known about this before there was actually a choice to be made. So I agree with Joe. Alderman DeLucia. This is a subject for something that can be sorted out later, but right now we need to get someone on the Board of Education. I think Kevin is the best choice.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's unanimous, 7-0. Number 2, please.
Relative to the sale of property at 13 South A Street.
Motion, please bring it forward. Alderman Nash, second Alderwoman Gould. Is there discussion?
Amend, please. Amend.
Yeah.
Nope.
Who has the language? I'm sorry. Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Did you call for discussion?
I do, but I also have some other language and information to give everyone the purchase and sales agreement.
Okay.
But I just need a moment or two to look at the numbers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I would entertain a motion, please, in paragraph 3 to fill in the amount of $53,700. And again, in paragraph 4, again, the price of $53,700, and that is to Webster Wadger. And again, in the last line open in paragraph 4, his name is repeated, Webster Wadger. I take a motion and a second for that, please. Nash, Gould. Is discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's unanimous. The resolution as amended, is there discussion? Yes, Alderman DeLucia.
I just have a question, and this question can be carried over to resolution number 3, but I'm just wondering why these were not presented at agenda setting.
I'm sorry, not presented as what?
At agenda setting.
That's a good question. I think it came in the next day.
Came the day after. These items have been listed for some time. Sometimes when the actual offer comes in, it doesn't comply with our own schedule of activity, and that's really all this is. These have been discussed at the Public Works Subcommittee in prior months and so forth, and going back and forth.
I understand. I yield the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Yes, Alderwoman Philbrick.
I have a question, just a general. When the city sells properties like this, are there any covenants attached so that this group now is buying this piece of property? Do they have to rehab this property within a certain length of time, or the other side of that would be, what prevents someone from buying a piece of crap property in the city of Norwich and then just letting it remain as a derelict property?
I think the answer is that's within the discretion of the council as to how you put the property out. So you have had some properties that are in poor shape that you've offered to a developer, subject to a developer's agreement, where it's a nominal price, but they are expected to develop it. This was put out to get the highest dollar value for the property, as if it were just an ordinary sale. So the person who buys it can develop it or live with it as it is or whatever. They're just buying it as any purchase of a house. I think that when you look at it, the typical ways that we proceed have been an auction conducted by the tax collector for back taxes periodically. This type of arrangement, we're placed with a broker to try to get the highest price for it. And the third is where we've appointed a committee of sale that has made recommendations.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there further discussion on the resolution as amended? If not, all those in favor? That's unanimous, vote 7-0.
Number 3, relative to a listing at 21 Whitaker Avenue.
Motion, please, to bring this forward. Alderman Gould, second by Pro Tem Nash. Is there discussion? Yes, Alderman Browning.
Very briefly, just for the audience's knowledge, this was a property that previously came to us. The person was still living in there. There were reservations about listing it at that time. The person is now out of there. You can show the property without going into someone's domicile. We're now up for another vote. I support the current resolution.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion is unanimous, 7-0.
I hereby move pursuant to Connecticut General Statute, Section 1-200, subsection 6, 1-200, subsection 8, and 1-200, subsection 9, that the members of the Norwich City Council go into executive session for the purpose of discussing strategy and negotiations with respect to pending claims or litigation. City Manager John Solomon and Corporate Counsel Michael E. Driscoll shall be asked to participate during all or portions of this executive session at the request of the City Council.
Is there a second? Pro Tem Nash. All those in favor? Unanimous,